I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already feels like home.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
Once again, we're back here at the Feels Like Home podcast for this week, and we're going to make a little history today. For the first time, we're going to have a guest on for three times. Micah Shanks was on twice, but Colin Rose from Objective Reality Games and Studio, it's actually now Objective Reality Inc., and we're going to talk a lot about that and about all the amazing things that have started off of one spot in Zane Plaza that opened a few years ago, and now we're just light years ahead of that. So stay tuned. We're really excited to have you listen to Colin Rose. All right, welcome back again, Colin.
Round three.
Colin Rose. He is we're making history today on the Feels Like Home podcast. Our first three-time guest, Colin Rose from Objective Reality Games and Studio.
There's a plaque coming.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
It'll have we're just going to take one of these, what do you call these?
Mic covers or?
Yeah, the mic cover. We're just going to do it, spray paint it gold and stick it on a piece of wood.
Sure.
Hey, that'll go in the office.
That's as much as the budget will allow. So, well, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
We wouldn't have Colin on if he didn't have more stuff to talk about.
Sure.
Always
because that would be a waste of time, his and ours, and probably yours. But there are a lot of things going on with Objective Reality Games.
Yeah.
I think the last time we talked in season 1.
Yeah.
And then we brought you on for your nonprofit. And then, but I think we just chatted offline about
it wasn't on the podcast.
Right.
I think we talked offline about the video game that came out, Deeded Deception, and things like that. But we're going to catch up on all that stuff now. So, I don't know. Just give us the lowdown on kind of where you're at right now. I mean, exciting things are happening over there.
Sure. Yeah. So, since last we talked, like you mentioned, we've had a video game come out. We started video game design about mid-2020 during the pandemic as something to do with our time when everything was closed and we didn't know what to do. So for the past 2 years, we were working on that game, and about 6 months ago now, it released on Steam. It's been doing really well, great reviews, and now we're on to a new project. And as of January of 2022, we are formally Objective Reality Incorporated. We incorporated Delaware C Corp. We did that because we're this new project we're calling the Abstract VR. It's got a lot of investor interest. So in order to take on investors, and this is all news to me, they prefer it to be a Delaware C Corp for whatever reason. So we went through that process, got all the forms. We've got some. We actually got, we pitched to a venture capital firm out of Columbus called Rev1 Ventures. They're phenomenal. They're a tech VC firm. They have an accelerator program that really ramps up your production and gets things going in a way that I couldn't do by myself. So we've been in touch with their legal team, and we've got an army of lawyers drafting up all of our share documents and articles of incorporation and this and this. And so it's been insane, the amount of meetings alone.
Just all that legal stuff. Trying to get your ducks in a row there.
But other than that, they're partnered with Ohio State in a way that we get a lot of really cool benefits. So we've got interns that are in their master's programs and things from Ohio State working for us, and that's partially paid internship by them. So we only have to cover about half of the interns' payroll, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And again, they've just been phenomenal in finding talent for us and really helping us get our goals in line. So we, hit these milestones and keep on the trajectory to launching this product. So that's been really cool. But I guess to explain a little more about what the Abstract is, kind of in tandem there in 2020, as the pandemic really started to hit, we didn't know, obviously, when we were going to be able to have customers back in stores. So we had to figure out other revenue streams. And we decided that maybe we can get people to play from home. And so we played around with a few different applications and settled on this third-party software that allowed us to install one piece of it on our servers in store. Then the user on the other end downloads the other piece on their at-home Quest 2 headset, and then they can link into our store. And that works really great within about 20 miles of Chillicothe, Ohio. And people could play, and they were having a good experience. But then, as the restrictions lifted, we were getting ready to phase that back out, and we had a pretty solid group of people who still wanted to play from home, so we kept it going. And then a little over a year now at this point, a friend of mine said, have you thought about expanding this out larger than just Chillicothe? And I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it, but he's a network engineer for Nationwide up in Columbus, and he said, you should look at cloud computing as a possible solution. So I got in touch with Amazon AWS and told them what I was trying to do, and they were ecstatic. They said, this is a phenomenal use case for AWS. Nobody's doing anything like this. How can we help? So they got their engineers involved and drafted.
You had to be like, wow, that was unexpected.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's been how it's gone with everybody that we've told this to. So I feel we're on to something,
Yeah.
They got their engineers doing testing and things and came back to us and said, okay, if you set up our virtual machines this way with these parameters, you'll be able to accomplish what you want to do. So we started playing around with that. And then I would say 6 to 8 months ago, we went to an NVIDIA convention online where they were talking about this new suite of products they're bringing out called the Omniverse. You've heard a lot about the metaverse, I'm sure. And this is some companion apps and APIs and things that will facilitate better integration into metaverse-style applications. And we told them what we were wanting to accomplish. And keep in mind, NVIDIA is the company that creates these graphics processing units that Amazon uses in these servers that we're utilizing. So again, with NVIDIA, they said, that's phenomenal. Like, that's a great idea. Why isn't anybody doing this? And made us one of the first Omniverse developers onboarded to use this suite of applications. And again, has opened the door and said, whatever you need, let us know. So, and shortly after that, we pitched Rev 1 Ventures, and that's where we got to tell them what we were up to, and they said, yeah, let's back this. And since then, it's just been a whirlwind of like I said, meetings and hirings, and now we have a playable prototype that has roughly 200 users testing it and giving us feedback today. And we have a wait list of roughly 30,000 people waiting to get on the platform once we do have it coded in a way that it can scale automatically and we don't have to do all the hands-on stuff. So we're probably, we've put a date of August on the nationwide product launch of a usable version of the space. And I think we're going to be able to hit that. So hopefully come August, nationwide, you'll be able to download our app in your at-home Quest 2 headset and have the brick-and-mortar VR arcade level experience without all of the equipment at your house. Because, the Oculus Quest 2, for those that don't know, it's a standalone headset, which means you don't have to have a computer to run it. It's about $300. You can play some pretty simple games on it because it essentially has the processing power of your cell phone. Whereas if you come into our storefront, you're getting a $2,000 headset, you're getting a $7,000 computer that's running the games that the headset is seeing. So it's just a different experience. And when people go to our storefront, they say, this is amazing. And then they go out and buy this headset that's available for home use, and they're like, "What is this?
Like, this is not amazing."
So we'll be able to give that $7,000 experience to an end user without all of the overhead, basically.
Yeah,
that's the gist of it. But then more than that, it's going to be a 3-dimensional space. You're going to load in to a social area. It'll be a cityscape, and you'll see your friends populate in there, and you'll say, "Hey, let's go play this zombie game." And you'll virtually walk over to the zombie game, and then you'll load in to the zombie game together. And then when you're done with the zombie game, you can load back into the social space and hang out in social space again. And then since then, we've partnered with a cryptocurrency that's going to offer some blockchain utility in the space. We're going to be able to pay out tournaments with cryptocurrencies and sell NFTs. Not that I really get into the NFTs too much, but there's a huge market for that. And then something that's really exciting that came up pretty recently is that the blockchain technology has unique security features to it that is unlike anything else. And we're going to start integrating that into the login sequence when you boot up the abstract, so it can verify that you are who you say you are through a blockchain verification process. And nobody can really duplicate that. So it makes it more secure than even like a two-factor authentication in a way. So that's a pretty cool thing that we've kind of stumbled into as far as the blockchain integration.
So if I understand what you're saying with that is, so if I'm somebody that's concerned about safety on video games, my kid plays Xbox, how do I know that the people that he's chatting to are reputable people, so on and so forth? This will be a way for folks to combat that a little bit, to not only whether you're 15 or 55, you'll be able to say, hey, I'm the only one that can be using my account.
Exactly. Yeah. You're going to go on our website, you're going to create an account, and then it's going to create an authentic blockchain code that says this is who you are, and nobody can duplicate that. So then you are who you've made your account to be. And because we're using a crypto wallet and there's money involved, we have to follow a lot of safety procedures and things. And that will guarantee that you are who you say you are when you log in. But then, like you mentioned with trolling and things like that, this is going to have social aspects. So we want to make sure that it's safe and all of that. So we're working with some companies that have AI that can determine offensive language and things like that to try to mitigate as much of that as we can. It's out there all over the internet, so it's going to be a challenge, I'm sure.
So if I'm part of this, would I be able to enjoy the escape room experience, let's say, but I'm with 5 of my friends doing the escape room and we're all in maybe different states, maybe we're all in the same community, but we're in 5 different houses.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the main reason that we wanted to create this, is because, like you said, those VR escape rooms that we have are something that even if you had a $7,000 setup, you couldn't play that at home. It's a commercial only application. So we're going to let people have these experiences that they couldn't have at home. And that would be available if you're in Ohio and somebody's in California. We're going to make it so that all communicates together and you can play with other people. All over the, hopefully, world at some point, but definitely all over the U.S. We're still kind of figuring out how the ping will be if you're talking with somebody in Europe and things like that. So there's some technical limitations to it today that I think are going to get better as internet gets better, as some of these technologies advance a little bit. Yeah. But right now, we still have a really strong customer base because these nodes within Amazon are everywhere. So, but it's really coming along.
Well, I can finally play this at my house because I now have Horizon Fiber at my house. Right. So. Shameless plug for our sponsor, Horizon. Right. There. But I mean, that's probably one of the barriers, right? I mean,
it is. Yeah.
Deeper that you get out into Southern Ohio, we're not there yet, but we will be.
Exactly. Yeah. So right now, to have a really quality experience, you're going to have to live within so many miles of an AWS node, which is where these servers are. Mm-hmm. And again, there's one in just about every state. So you have to be within a few hundred miles, and then you really have to have a 50 megabyte or better internet connection. Which isn't that crazy. Most people that have Spectrum or what have you, Horizon, will have a 50 megabyte or better internet connection unless you live clear out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
So,
I have 500 meg here in my house.
Yeah. That's what I have too.
Yeah.
And our user interface is designed to run a quick ping test and an internet check. And if you don't fall within the parameters, it's not going to let you play because we just don't want you to have a bad experience.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
well, that quality assurance is pretty crucial, I think, because, I know what it was like before we got upgraded to fiber. Sometimes you drop and other times, especially I bought a new 4K TV and just watching football games sometimes was a little digitized and things like that. None of those problems now, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so I think the more that you're right, the more that we advance in those realms, the better off we're going to be.
Yeah. And, there's 5G is becoming a big thing now, and that is actually a better internet speed than anything you can get through a line. So I think once that infrastructure gets more advanced, I think there's going to be a lot of implementation there as well. So yeah, I think within the next 5 years, the limitations won't be there on who can play the games and things like that.
So what kind of price point are you looking at for is it going to be like a monthly subscription or? Yeah,
we're looking at two options. We've gone with the SaaS model, so we want to do a monthly subscription fee. We're shooting for a price point of about $10 a month, and that. Today for our beta testers, we're at a $35 a month price point, but that's because we're very limited in who can be in this, and we just need to cover our expenses. And like I said, we have about 200 people that are doing that today, but we've done a lot of market research and things like that, and we found that $10 to $20 a month is the range that people are comfortable paying for a service like that. So we're shooting for that, and we're confident we can hit that once we get our numbers a little bigger. We get some price breaks on different things that we're doing. So yeah, and then as we grow, we want to bring in sponsors into the space. So say like a Pepsi could put a billboard up in the virtual space, or what have you. So we've got a few different revenue streams we're entertaining on the commercial side. But we're also developing this for military use right now as well. We are in the middle of an Air Force technology transfer grant, which is a nightmare of a process if you're familiar at all. And we've partnered with Ohio State for that. Actually, we've got the engineering department at Ohio State's working on that with us, and it's a lot of technical analysis. There's a 50-page technical document that they need to see in this proposal, along with some other things, and we've got about 18 days left to do it. So,
wow.
So
how do you stumble upon these things? Because I mean, I don't intend this to be a slight, but this thing started out as a video game arcade, right? And then now it's in just a few short years, it has just exploded into this huge thing. It's kind of amazing to think about.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like we stumbled into a lot of this, honestly, because we stumbled into video game design because I have always wanted to create a video game, and we had time during the pandemic to do that. So, we found people that were passionate about gaming and talented in programming and things like that. And then, again, we were looking for ways to bring in revenue during the pandemic. We found that we could stream this content potentially, and then that kind of snowballed into where we are today. So it has just kind of been, I don't want to say stumbled into, but it's just kind of grown very organically out of what we were originally doing in a way that's really, really unbelievable.
Well, and I see I say stumble into it. That's, you have to take advantage of it when you stumble into it anyway. Yeah. So it's all about execution after that.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of this wouldn't have been possible without, I suppose I'm a workaholic in a sense, but without a lot of tenacity and follow up and reaching out to people that could potentially be partners and not knowing how the conversations were going to go. It's a lot of shooting in the dark a lot of times, but I'm an entrepreneur at heart. That's what I've done for 20 some years. And I just love innovation. I love
finding the next thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and go ahead.
I was just saying, how important is it to what you're doing now to have like a company that's like producing the Oculus and at that price point? Because I think a few years ago, what you paid for your arcade, those heads, those headsets and how much those were. Now that Oculus has brought that price point down, now the market is so much larger to be able to support the metaverse and your
it wouldn't be possible without the lower price point Oculus headset. There's a few other companies bringing something to market that's going to be similar in price point, but and
those will all work with what you're planning to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any headset that's on the market will work in our software. Okay. We've designed it with what's called OpenXR, which means that when you log in, it's going to identify which headset you use and customize the key inputs and things to the headset.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So that's crucial. for sure to our success is the continued, and it has been for the last 3 or 4 years. It's been outselling Xbox and PlayStation and all of these things. So the want is there, So
it had me at Beat Saber.
Exactly.
That game is addicting,
isn't it? Yeah.
It is so much fun.
Yeah. Oh man, we love Beat Saber out at the arcade. That's another thing. The tournaments and the arcade experience is something we're bringing to the at-home user too that you don't necessarily get. Competing in a Beat Saber tournament or whatever other
Rocket
game,
League, whatever.
League,
Yeah.
So you're going to have the ability to sign up for and participate in tournaments all from within our virtual space.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
That's
and
really cool.
Just the idea of incorporating the blockchain and cryptocurrency type things, which is a completely underdeveloped thing right now, but it's going to be huge, I think, down the road without question. I still think it's a very new concept for a large, vast majority of the people, right?
Right.
But that's going to get less and less as kids, my son's age get older and mature.
Right.
Kids that are 20 right now, and they're not kids, but mean, that's going to become real currency is going to become a thing of the past, really.
I really believe that. And it's not so much that I think that the U.S. dollar is going to disappear and these cryptos are going to take over. I think that governments will adopt this technology because, like you said, the underlying smart contracts of a cryptocurrency are so much more robust than the paper dollar and the way that we do it today. And I think a lot of what's been hurting the crypto markets here lately is there's so many scam artists in the space because it is so misunderstood. People are like, well, I can get rich by buying this for 0.0008 cents per my dollar, and then come to find out that wasn't even a cryptocurrency. That was just somebody who made a scam and then took all your money.
Right.
So there's a lot of that out there. So anybody that's interested in that space, do some research about it. The crypto we partnered with is called Evergrow Coin. They're super legitimate. The guy who created it, Sam Kelly, out of the UK, is a really big financial advisor for the UK, and really smart guy. And we've got some really talented people on his team working with us, and they're doing something cool in this space too that's unique. They've got they've created this coin algorithm in a way that it depletes over time. So as you hold the coin, it becomes more and more rare by the way that they've designed this code to run. So you get more value per coin over time for holding. And then they've built in something called a reflections pool that works almost like a dividend, where the longer you hold it, the more transactions that happen, a portion of those fees get paid out to the holders of the coin. And I think to date, they've paid out something like $30 million in reflections to people. And that's not in extra coins, that's in actual money that you're getting. So it's a really cool coin. And by integrating it into the space, along with the other benefits, we're trying to almost gamify crypto investing in a way.
Sure.
So the more you play, you can earn, and if you hold them, then you get these dividends, and it becomes this whole, investment strategy almost.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, in your business, if you're doing things based on what's here today, you might as well not do it at all.
No, yeah.
Because the technology advances so swiftly that honestly, what's really good today, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, is more likely going to be a thing of the past.
Right. And the arcade we opened in 2019, which wasn't even that long ago, I think in the next 3 to 4 years, because of the $300 headsets at home and because of the software we're designing, is going to put that kind of business model out of business because, it's getting more and more to this space where you can just do it for a $300 headset.
Yeah.
So in a way, we're putting our own business out of business, I guess.
Yeah. Well, but you're adapting your business.
Right. Exactly.
In my mind.
That's a better way to look at it.
This is big. Verizon Fiber Internet is ready
Let them get you hooked up and power your Wi-Fi network
with the speed and reliability that only a 100% fiber network can do.
Verizon is ready to help you do what you do better. With real people, real rates, and a real service.
Connect with them today, and the first month is free, plus no contracts and no data caps. Call 740-772-8331
or visit horizonconnects.com/Chillicothe
to sign up today. The other thing I think that you've really been good at is raising money, crowdfunding. You did the Kickstarter for the game, and then you did WeFunder for the abstract concept.
Yeah, we didn't even hit on that yet, did we? Yeah. No, that was really surprising to me. Because we have been building this community for about a year now behind this project and kind of telling people what we're wanting to do. And between all of our different social presences, Discord and this, we've got a little over 100,000 people that are following along with us. And so we decided to do a crowd fundraise. It's kind of new in the corporate investing sphere of things. It's called Regulation CF. But this company does it really well, WeFunder, and essentially it allows regular people to invest in what has traditionally been venture capital exclusive investments. So you get early stage access to companies that could potentially be multi-billion-dollar companies, we've had a phenomenal turnout. I think within WeFunder told us when we started, you need to hit $50,000 within 2 months to show that you're relevant and that people want to invest. And we hit go live, and by the end of that week, we had surpassed that $50,000 goal. And they've put some benchmarks along the way, and we've knocked them out of the park, each one. And we've moved so fast that when it came to regulatory filings, we were about a month and a half ahead of where they wanted us to be. So we had to kind of push the brakes and say, okay, let's hold on, guys. We got to get these papers filed with the SEC and everything. And we're up to 113,000, I think, right now on our Regulation CF. We've raised outside of that through traditional VC investment. We're up to about $200,000 worth of investments today. At our current valuation of $4.5 million, which blows my mind that we were valued at such a high number. But being that we're on this bleeding edge of technology and all these other factors, that's not a number that I arbitrarily picked out of the air. That's a number that these VC firms calculate and have a lot of metrics that they use to figure those numbers. And they've come back and said, you're worth $4.5 million in today's money. So it's just insane how quick this is all kind of transpired. Yeah. And then the amount of support we have is just phenomenal.
Yeah. It occurs to me that because it's a tech company and because what you're doing is so ever changing that it shouldn't be a surprise. But it's also not what you thought it was going to be when you first started it.
So in Chillicothe, Ohio.
Yeah. I think when we talked one time, you were telling me that there's some potential for some tech jobs to kind of grow out of this for the community. Because your intent is to stay here and to continue to build the company.
Yeah. Our lease ends in October on Bridge Street, and we're eyeing a few different downtown properties with a lot more square footage. Intentionally, because we're bringing on some more staff. We're a team of 9 right now, and we intend to probably get up to about 20 here before too long, and that's all going to happen here in Chillicothe.
Yeah. Now, when you look at that, when you're, when it starts out and it's you and Sarah and, maybe one or two others, and now you're at 9, then you eventually go to 20, the management challenge at that point, obviously, anytime you scale, things get a little tougher.
Right.
So what types of things are you doing to sort of like prepare you as a leader of this company, the CEO, for when that time comes?
Well, another great thing that Rev 1 has done is we have seminar after seminar about how to transition into a CEO type position where it's more top down management. So I've done a lot of these seminars, reading books, and knowing when to micromanage is key. Even today, most of my job as a CEO now and into the next 5 years is going to be fundraising. It's just a reality of corporate America until we hit IPO, which is the goal eventually in the next 5 years to go for an IPO. It's going to be fundraising. So my focus has to be on what steps do I have to make today to hit that next round, to make sure we're looking as appealing to investors as we can for this seed round or the Series A and onward. So it's a lot of preparation and looking into the future for me now. As before, it was a lot more hands-on. Let's do this, but today is a little different for me.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting to think about it in those terms because you go from fundraising just to get the dream off the launch pad, and then you're like, this is about scaling. I mean, you're at $4 million now value. You want to get to 8 million.
Right,
like that is a huge leap, and it was a huge leap to get to 4. So that the ability of the CEO to raise money is obviously a huge challenge.
Yeah. And I'm not just liable to me and Sarah anymore. I've got all these investors, I think 146 investors at this point, that are relying on me to make that valuation happen. The only way that an investor is going to make money is that we have a higher valuation than we do today.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that that's my number one priority.
Yeah. Yeah. But I feel like everything you've done to this point has prepared you for that. There might be parts of it that are feel a little overwhelming, but you're not going through it alone. You're kind of like you mentioned, you're getting some guidance and some leadership there.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the same time, you're also, what you don't know.
Right.
I don't feel like you're a guy that's afraid to ask for help.
No.
So,
and I like this quote, and I think it's Warren Buffett. That's where I've always seen it referenced to, but it was that I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I know how to hire the smartest guy in the room. So I like that, and that's what I look for in the people that we bring on the team. They have to be somebody who is really expert in their field and can add a lot of value. So yeah, that's crucial.
Well, you probably had to do some of that when you developed Deed of Deception, right? Like, I mean, you're not an artist.
No.
So you had to find a good artist to do that. I think I think we talked about this before. You had ideas for storylines, but then you had other people that really developed those storylines for you.
Yeah. The concept of Deed of Deception was always that I wanted to create a video game that was replayable almost endlessly by the way that it randomizes and the storyline changing. So that was my vision. But making that a reality, I had to hire artists, I had to hire programmers, and then, and again, just similar to the abstract, this was something that nobody's really done before. So we had to kind of write from the beginning, just kind of step outside of the lines and really kind of create something totally new. And so we had to have super talented people to do that. And we've got, and some people may not know, but the team that created the Deed of Deception is 4 people.
Yeah.
It's myself, it's Sarah, it's Johnny, our programmer, and Francis, our level designer.
Yeah.
5. Oh my gosh. Alyssa, she's our artist. So, it was a really small team. As far as game developing is concerned, that was a really small team. And in 2 years, we were able to put together a game that, again, has received a few Steam awards, and we're going to go demo it up in Columbus next week. And it's really cool to see how much work a small team can do when they're really dedicated to the project.
And VR game companies probably have whole departments that would just work on a game, right?
Yeah,
and they could have dozens of people, right?
Ubisoft, a company that we partner with in a lot of our content, has a whole VR division that I think is about 400 people. So,
you're only 100 to 1, behind that, right? Like,
yeah.
But I mean, hey, I think it's really cool that you were able to kind of make that dream a reality, and then you go on to the next thing. Is that kind of the way that you look at things? Is like once you do a thing, you want to find the next thing, or do you kind of have a list that you're just going through?
I have a list. I want the Deed of Deception was the first one. This has been on the back burner while we were working on that. I've got some more game ideas that I think are going to be really cool. But we definitely want to circle back to the Deed of Deception and finish polishing it up and get a really cool experience. So, I definitely want to keep going down the game design side of things because I love, creating new game concepts and just seeing them come to life. That's such a cool experience. So, I guess a little bit of both.
And, you had mentioned earlier some I think we talked the first time, like law enforcement concepts with VR, and I think you guys had also applied for a NASA grant and things like that. Do you see that becoming, yet another part of this, Objective Reality Inc. Suite of things? Yeah,
it seems very disjointed when we ramble off all the things that we're doing, but I swear it all fits together. No, but the government contracting, this military and police as well, platform is all going to come off of our current project, the Abstract, because what this platform allows is for us to render and process massive amounts of data in this cloud computing network and then deliver it to an end user with just that internet connection and that headset. So what that means for the military is we can create these ultra realistic, physically real environments for training, and then there's no setup at the base. Just having the internet connection, having some other things, but and then being able to have multiple bases in one giant scenario together is hugely beneficial as a veteran. Being able to have these multi-disciplined, training scenarios where you might have the Air Force with the Marines doing, training together, is something that they've been asking for about 6 years in these open topic STTR, SBIR formats, and now hopefully we can deliver on that for them. And then along with this proposal, is our content management, is our delivery system, but it's also creating this training scenario for the military, which then could translate to police use or first responder use. Some of the aspects of this are really unique that nobody's really doing today. For instance, we can create what's called a digital twin of, say, a base, and then we can run it through different scenarios like an earthquake or a bomb and really see what would happen with real world physics when that takes place on this facility, and there's a new benefit for that too. So I think this all kind of evolves into one big picture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think on the surface it would look like you're running 8 different directions at the same speed. Yeah. But really, it's all under that arm of VR and metaverse, if you want to call it that.
Right.
Ultimately what it comes down to is there are applications for fun. There are applications for business. There are applications for, government.
Right.
So
education, training.
Yeah. Education. There's like a million different things.
That's another one that I really wanted to tackle. I thought that was such a cool concept. We did that with Bishop Fleget with the VR classroom, and we, again, took it to Rev 1, and we did a whole lot of analysis, and they came back and said, this is just not sustainable. You are not going to get a budget-strapped school to spend thousands of dollars on headsets. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Although the benefit's there's a lot of use for it, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate. But a lot of that programming work that we did, we were able to repurpose into our current project, so it wasn't a loss on our end. So
and there are ideas that are great for right now, and there are ideas that the time hasn't come yet, right?
Yeah, right.
If you would have tried to start Objective Reality Games in 2015 or 2014, people were clueless.
Yeah. There was a VR shop at Easton that opened in, I think, 2016 that went out of business in about 6 months.
Yeah.
So
I mean, having timing is everything with business, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And so it's regardless of what happens with your current lease and whether you stay there or you go someplace else, which looks like you're going to move.
Yeah.
Those things, when the business evolves, those things have to happen too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's heartbreaking in a way. That's where we started everything, but we've outgrown it. So it's time to move, unfortunately. But looking forward to the future too.
Yeah. You run the business, you have the studio, you have Reality Games, the studio, you're developing all these other things, you do the nonprofit. Like, where do you find time for all this stuff? Like, maybe you're one of those guys that sleeps like 2 hours a night or whatever.
Sometimes, yeah. No, I haven't had as much of a role with a nonprofit as I'd like to.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I've had to cut out a lot.
Well, you're lucky you have other good people around you.
Oh
there.
yeah, Stacy and Chris are phenomenal. They're doing a phenomenal job with that. So
yeah. Well, I think honestly, again, we wouldn't have had you on if you weren't doing great things and you weren't.
It's so fascinating too. Like, I mean, you just think about. I read the book Ready Player One. I feel like there are things that are happening, like what you are doing in the forefront of. Like we were reading about that, or even if you watch the movie, some of those things are being played out in that, and it's amazing. We can dream about those things, but like when you start seeing them come to reality and really have like some substance to them, right? Like there's legitimate things, business models that can be built around this stuff now.
Right.
And you talk about the place in Easton that failed in 2016. It needed those 3 or 4 years between that and you launching your space.
Yeah.
For the technology to catch up to create an environment that people were ready for.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for it then, but 3 years later they were.
And we had Dave and Heather Drotwa on in last week to talk to us from Southern Ohio Axe Throwing, and I think they told a story about how the place that they went to that got them interested in bringing one to Chillicothe, the guy also owned Throw Nation, which they later bought. And, that's a phenomenal, like, obviously sometimes things catch on in a bigger city quicker than they come on here, right?
Yeah.
But, the idea is that if you're passionate about something and it really is the thing that you want to do, anything can happen, right?
Sure.
Like, and so it
doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just,
well, tech in Ohio is really, I don't know if you guys know much about the tech scene in Ohio, but it's really starting to explode. Whereas it used to be, you had to be in California.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool to see over the last few years. Now we've got Intel coming in Columbus, which we, could potentially have some work there through Rev 1 and through Ohio State. So it's been really cool to see Ohio really take the forefront in the tech space. Yeah. I would like to point out that in Ready Player One, that all happened in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, that's right.
And,
That's right.
And we're only a little ways away. So.
That is funny that is where that book takes place.
Yeah.
And we had Matthew Benson on early in season 1, probably just before we had you on in season 1, and he talked about how important it was for what they're doing to be based in Ohio as well. And he talked about technology in Ohio and how it's a space that people are looking to grow. I mean, we already see things happening with the news of Intel coming. I mean, there's a new Ferrari dealership opened up in Columbus, and that is all because of that Intel.
Oh yeah.
Well, I heard
be able to support that car dealership without.
So the leader of Jobs Ohio is a guy named JP Nassif, and he was on the Ohio Chambers podcast this last week, and he talked about ever since that Intel deal was announced, the number of companies that are like, "Hey, you did that deal, so we should talk." Those conversations are rapidly increasing. So I think we're going to see more of those deals. And look, there's only so many places you can put them around Central Ohio.
Right.
So eventually it could get out this way, right?
Yeah.
So,
Especially
our biggest concern right now is that we don't have developable land. So that's where Ross County needs to focus, and so if you're out there and you're listening and you know of any developable land, call Tammy Elenardo at the Ross County Economic Development Office.
But we see things like that will happen because of Intel, of all those other side businesses that support that Intel.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it with Kenworth and all the other companies that have moved in because of the support that they do for Kenworth and make products for them and paint for them and things. And so, I mean, it's going to happen in the tech industry as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
You'll see people not only out as far as we are, but you'll see it all around, and a big ring around Licking County will be suppliers, pushing things that way. So, I mean,
the big one right now, which is what we're hoping to get into once we get the abstract developed, is they have committed, I think it was $100 million to education for getting people trained to work in this facility. So hopefully the abstract can play a part in that.
Yeah,
that's the plan.
Well, and of course, I think if you could do a partnership with your career and tech fields, that just will pay dividends on both sides. And I think whenever you have an education partner with a business partner, that's primo right there, without question.
There's obviously an opportunity for virtual training for these people, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just a case in point at work. Last week, I did a recording for training, and I did it like it was a live stream. I had a camera on me, had my PowerPoint presentation in the computer, and I mixed it all, recorded it, shoved it out on our server for people at work. Just to talk about these new features that we have coming to our online banking product. And the number of people, the feedback that I got was like, okay, gosh, can we do more training like that? It was great. I was able to sit at my desk. I was able to multitask a little bit, and I was able to focus on the training. And I didn't have to sit in a training room for, 2 hours for you.
Or worse yet, drive 2 hours, spend 2 hours, drive 2 hours back.
So I could totally see where what you're building in abstract could be a great tool for those kind of things.
And that's what the Air Force is asking for, is they say it's not feasible for us to send troops all over the place to train here and train there. We need to have an ability to train everyone where they're stationed.
Right.
And that's what we're hoping to deliver. So you're right. I think that just the training alone is going to be huge moving forward. Everybody's used to staying at home on Zoom now. They don't want to go drive 2 hours to go do something anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of Matthew Benson, by the way, did you see his big news? They just bought, eFuse has bought esports.gg, which I guess owns all of the trademarks for esports and things like that. So they'll be able to do a lot more. He just announced it within the last week or so, but phenomenal step forward for that company. It's going to mean a lot more jobs for them, and I think even more importantly, a lot more market reach for them, which is tremendous. So, all these folks coming out of Chillicothe, Ohio, are killing it in the tech world, man.
That's right.
So,
don't count us out.
What else did we not talk about, Colin? Did I miss anything?
Oh, that was the one that you mentioned with the WeFunder. That's something that I had forgotten to mention. WeFunder.com/Objective Reality Inc. If you're listening, and it's something that sounds like an investment opportunity. Again, research what that means for you as the investor. There are some potential risk that you have to be aware of when you make early stage investments like that. We are offering what are called safe notes, which convert at a certain time into actual shares, which, being that we're at a current valuation of $4.5 million, could turn into a windfall. It could not. It's just there's risks. But yeah, definitely, if it sounds interesting to you, just head over there and you'll get a little inside information too. We share some stuff with investors that we don't necessarily share with everybody. So
they have all the documents that they need on their website too.
True.
Going through them all the other day, I really felt very confident. Look, I'm in at a very low amount. I undervalued it. I should have gotten in at a little bit.
No, everything helps.
But the one thing I will say is, if you're out there playing the stock market right now, I mean, listen.
Yeah,
it's probably the same risk right now. It might be worse risk.
That's the thing. It's a weird market right now, and that's something that Rev One's tried to drill into us, is that there's some potential downturn happening. Safeguard yourself. Make sure you're ready to ride it out.
Yep.
And that goes for everybody.
Yep.
Don't spend money you don't have to spend.
Yep. Well, Colin, hey, thanks again for coming in for a third time.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I feel like we should have
conversations.
We should have had the award ready, I guess is the best way to say it.
Come on.
But the budget just didn't allow it.
No,
We bought that fancy, colorful board right there, and that's
and the table too.
And then, the table was here.
Was free. It just took
it was
some effort.
Sweat equity with Marty.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. So
I got creative.
Colin, thanks again for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
You're listening to the Feels Like Home podcast with Mike Throne and Marty Ford. Powered by Horizon. This is big. This is gig.
It feels a little strange, but I don't feel alone. We just settled in and it already